All right, welcome back to another video from the Clark and Addison Gaming Company. My name is Brian Hafferkamp. I'm the designer and creator at the Clark and Addison Gaming Company. And in this game, I'm going to provide a sneak peek. I think I'm finally ready to show off a general manager game that I've been working on for baseball. Been putting work into this for the last several months, and I think I'm ready to finally show something. Okay. I sort of teased it a little bit on the Facebook group the other day, but I'll show you all the game components first, and maybe not in the right order, but I'm just going to show you kind of everything. And then I'm in the middle of season 3. Well, I'm at the beginning of season 3, I guess. So the beginning of the off season. So let's take you from the beginning. So this was season 1, and I've got 4 teams here. So Port Morgan, Pine Hollow, Brookdale, and Shady Springs. Those are our 4 teams. This is all fictional. This is not actual MLB, obviously. And then you can see each team fits onto one of these cards. You could theoretically cut these cards out if you wanted to. If you laminated them, it would make it awesome, because then you could just erase players. It would just make it easier to do everything. I've just been printing out a new one of these for every season. But laminating it makes a lot of sense. In fact, if I were to print this as a game, I would make sure that if I did through the Game Crafter, they have a special coating that if you buy their dry erase markers, they can guarantee that you can dry erase on the cards. So maybe that's a possibility here. We have Port Morgan here. You can see up here, these are the players. You're going to get 9 players for your team. They have skill, they have an age, they have a salary, and they have stars. So you have 1-star players and you have 2-star players. So depending on their skill level, they get a certain number of stars, and the stars sort of play in to the strength of your team while you're playing head to head. Down here on the bottom section is your financials. So it's got I wouldn't say a full financial engine, but it does have a pretty robust financial engine for a game that's going to play this quickly. So you'll have any losses or gains carried over from the next season, which is your final line here. These get carried over to the next season. So one season will affect the next season, and you kind of have to plan your strategy of who you're going to let go, who you're going to bring on, that kind of stuff. What kind of free agents are you going to bring in? Because you have to control costs a little bit. If you have 3 negative seasons in a row, your team goes away. So then you have to create a new team, which we have one team that's on the brink, and that's is it Port Morgan? I can't remember. It's one of the teams is on the brink here. Let's see. It is Port Morgan. They've had their first 2 years have been losses. So -6, and then the second year they lost 32. So they are way in the hole, and they're going to have to, I don't know how they're going to get out of it, other than they're just going to have to slash costs, which is going to affect their ability to win games. So it's a bit of a catch-22. So they might just be kind of screwed over and on their way out. Okay, so that's our financial system. So you can carry over money, positive and negative money. We have the number of wins. You get paid gate revenue per win. You have a star player bonus, so you get $2 for every star player you had. So they had 3, and so they get $6 as a bonus. And then all of this becomes your total income. There will also be some bonuses and things like that you can get through special things that you can buy, team updates or upgrades that you can buy. Also, I'm mulling over like league-wide events that will kind of affect your financials as well. The team player salaries are here. This is all of your added up salaries. The facilities, so your stadium basically and all your facilities cost you a couple bucks. And so these are your expenses. You basically do income minus expenses, and that gives you your net. So that tells you your financial position. And again, these final totals for the year carry over. So the way that you go through the off season, the way you handle both retirements, which you can see some of these players here have retired. So if they have a 5, that means they're at the very edge of their retirement. So 1 is a rookie, 2 is prime, 3 is a veteran, 4 is aging, and 5 is a person in their final year. So you can see here, Elijah Murphy had to retire because he was in his final year. Same thing here. And then here, when a player is a 4, you have to roll to see, does the player retire or not. So 1 or 2, he'll retire. A 3 to 6, he plays 1 more year. So then he'll be into his final year. So Cooper retired a little bit early, and he was a star player. So that hurt Port Morgan just a little bit. And then you add up your stars, you add up your salaries, you add up your skills, and these are what you're going to use. Your skills and your stars are what you're going to use to play the actual games, this is what it looks like. So this is just a score sheet that I made to play all the games. And basically you have week 1, week 2, week 3. And then you have your team score, which is your skills all added together. You have your star power, which is your stars all added together. There's a home field advantage. And then you have a total of all these numbers. So 23 plus 3 plus 1 is 27. 22 plus 2 is 24. And then you roll your 2d6 dice. So just a simple 2d6 dice roll. You add those together, a 12. 12 plus 24 is 36. And then that becomes your final score. So you do that for each team. Highest team wins. And then you throw down a win and you go to the next one. There is, and you can see here that I played 6 weeks. And then we have a championship game between Brookdale, who was 6-0, and Shady Springs, who was 4-2. And Brookdale came out with a victory. So they were basically tied here. They were going to win. Only an 8 on the roll. They only rolled a 4, but they didn't need much to win. Brookdale was head and shoulders above everyone in year 1. You can see they had a 31. Their salary was 39. The way salaries work is if you're a 1-star player, a skill 4, that 1 star is plus 1. So for every star that you have, you add 1 to the salary. So he is a 5. He has 2 stars because a 5 gets 2 stars. A 4 gets 1 star. So a 5 gets 2 stars. He's a 7. He costs $7, even though his skill level is a 5. For everybody else, it's $1 per skill level, so $1. But for the star players, they cost you a little bit more, and they also give you more wins. There's a championship bonus of $3. There's a runner-up bonus of $1. So just getting into the championship game is going to give you an extra boost in revenue. So you have to sort of balance out what you're going to do for money and what you're going to do for performance on the field. It's a lot like baseball in that way. There's no salary cap or anything. So you're just kind of running through and making money as you can. If you have extra left over, so you can see they had $17 left over. They had $6 left over at the end of the season, and that carries over into the next season. You can use positive money, positive cash to purchase upgrades, which we have here. So our different team upgrades. Some of these are permanent, and you buy them once and then you have them forever, but they cost more, right? And then some are just for the one season. So you can get a plus $1 win per season. For if you pay $2, you can get plus $1 win per season. And you can purchase that every year if you have extra money. If you don't, then you can't make any upgrades or purchases. Rookie camp, you can draft 1 extra rookie in the off season. Which rookies, as I play it out, I'm seeing some interesting things, which I didn't do the ages here, but I'll show you in the second season. I did the average ages, and the teams that don't do well typically are younger. The teams that do well are typically older, which, that does typically coincide with baseball. And you see the shifts though. You see the older teams, they retire a bunch of guys, the younger teams get better. And so youth is the way that you sort of grow your team, but you're going to take a hit probably in the first year of being a young team. So that's all our players. How did we get here? How we got here was creating teams and players. So basically the first thing you need to do is you need to decide how many teams, 4, 6, or 8 in your league. And we have a schedule for each of those. So we have a 4-team schedule, we have a 6-team schedule, and we have an 8-team schedule. So you can decide how many you want to do. 4 seems to work well for me. It takes me about an hour or so to get through, and it's getting faster, so I think it'll be a little bit faster. If you didn't do the player names, it would go much faster. The player names take up a little bit of time. So 4-team schedule, 6 weeks. And then this just shows you who's the away team, who's the home team. And you can see I've just marked them A, B, C, and D. So it doesn't really matter who is A, who's B, who's C, who's D, because they're going to have to play each other on the strength of their own team. So you have your regular season, and then your championship game is number 1 at number 2. Again, home field advantage means something in this one, so you need to make sure that you think about home field advantage. In these longer seasons, you have 2 semifinals, number 4 at number 1, number 3 at number 2, and then the winner of the 2-3 game against the winner of the 1-4 game. And then the highest seed is going to be the home team, depending on who gets through there. So the way we start the season is you've got a little cheat sheet here on how to create teams. So you're going to choose the team name, which is to roll 1d6 die. Oh, that all needs to be changed too. So still making some things here. So you want to roll 2d6 dice, a 41, and you go to the first names, or to the team names, I'm sorry. A 41 is Ash Grove, and then the mascot is the Coyotes, the Ash Grove Coyotes. And so that would be your team name. Then you need to create players. So for every position, you have 9 players for each team. And then a 13 would be Mason Serrano. So that's how you find player names. It's pretty easy. I originally had like 6 or 10 or something like that. I was like, man, I'm getting all the exact same players. And so I increased it out to an 11 to 66 roll. So you can do it just with 2d6 dice. That was what I wanted to do. And I wanted them to be relatively even as far as like how you can come up with each person's name. So you roll for the first name, you roll for the last name, you write that down, and then for the skill and age, you roll again. And the first number for me, I use for the skill. So this player would be a 1. His age would be a 3. And then based off of his skill, you put his salary, which is a 1. And then he would be 0 stars, so it'd be similar to this player here. So that's super easy. If you didn't want to do the names, you could just roll for the skill level and you say catcher, whatever. But it's kind of cool because I keep a, let's see where it is. I created a yearbook to kind of track each year. So this is season 1 and this is season 2. So tracking the standings, who was the champion, tracking the financial situation of each team during the year. And then there's a Hall of Fame section. So if a player retired with 2 stars, so that means they're the highest level star you could be, and they retire with that. Some players will degrade as they go to the end of their careers. So we had Brookdale had 2. Remember, they're the champions. They went 6-0. They had 2 Hall of Famers. And then Shady Springs, who was the runner-up, they also had a Hall of Fame left fielder. And then I also record the future stars. So these are rookies with level 3. And so I'll show you in a minute how you get the rookies into the game in the off season. But level 3 is the highest rookie that you can have. They're only 1 step away from being a star. They just need like a +1 and they're into stardom. So these guys are sort of at the apex of being a rookie. And so they're one step away from being a star. So it did the same thing here. There was only one Hall of Famer for Brookdale. So you can see that Brookdale had 3 Hall of Famers on that first team. They were loaded, but they only finished 2 and 4. So, obviously they had 2 Hall of Famers retire, and that's going to be a big deal. And so Shady Springs, very consistent, 4 and 2 and 4 and 2. They were the runner-up again. And only one team lost money this second season. So things are changing, right, in the universe. And then Port Morgan wound up with 2 future stars. So when they rolled their draft picks, they had 2 players with level 3 or more. So I'm keeping that just kind of as a end of the season. Let's make sure that we keep track of everything that's going on. So that's creating teams and creating players. You have your schedules. And then there is the off season. So this was season 1. And then there's the off season. So off season progression is clearly laid out here as well. So the first thing you do is any team upgrades. So remember, the team they have to be carrying a positive balance. So everyone can upgrade except for Port Morgan. They can't make any team upgrades because they're at a minus 32. But every other team can make some kind of team upgrade going into season 3. We have off-season events. These are optional. You can use these, and you basically just roll 1 to 6. 6 is no event, nothing happens. But if you roll one of these others, there's something you can do, usually for the off-season, but sometimes for the season. So there's a star injury. Your top player has -1 skill for the year. So that just happens for the one season, and they're like freakish kind of things that happen. You can gain $3 because you have a sponsorship deal, so that would be special to your team. So each team can roll for an off-season event. We have retirements, which I've just been marking on each season with an R. Again, you go through and you find the 5s. All of those players automatically retire. And then the aging players have to roll for retirement. Here's that. 1 to 2, they retire immediately. 3 to 6, they return for one final year. Yeah, player cuts. So if you need to trim payroll, or there's a player that you just want to get rid of and hopefully fill them in with a better rookie, or be able to fill them in with a free agent, you can cut that player and they will go into the free agent pool. The free agents you have to create as well. Some of the free agents will get cut and put into here, and then you can fill out the rest of them just by rolling. So I've taken a couple different tacks. The first season, I did two players at each position. This season, I'm going to try out 1 player at each position. Speeds things up a little bit, but you can see there's some stars here. Left fielder, center fielder, really good, and a couple of younger players here. So this is kind of a burgeoning star here, rookie with the level 3. And so there's some players to get in free agency for sure. And so you cut your players, they would go into the free agent pool, and they would be off your team and off your payroll. You can draft or create rookies. That's the next thing. So everybody, you have to put 2 rookies on your team before you can add free agents. So let's see, we're in this off season here. Let's see, where was it? Oh, here's my year 3. So this is sort of where we are right now in the process. So all of these guys have gone through the player development stage. So I don't know if you can see that very well, but everyone's gone through the player development stage, or at least for Port Morgan. Port Morgan in year 2, I can just show you the progression here. They had 1 retirement. That's this guy here, the left fielder. They were very young. 2.3 was their age. So compared to everybody else who was over a 3, they were very young. Now they've lost a lot of games because you can see that they're pretty young, but you can also see they're ready to burst out. They have a bunch of 3s and 4s, and they are ready to burst out. So when we come over here, Now all of a sudden you see that they have burst out. We have 2 guys with a 5, another guy with a 4, a 4, 4, a 3. So they had exactly 2 stars in this year number 2. And now they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players who have stars. 2, 4, 6, 7. So they went from 2 stars to 7 stars, which is going to help them. Their skill has gone up as well for the most part, all around. Even this guy here who was a rookie, he has progressed just a little bit. So you can see that youth is going to begin to, it's begin to get better. That's the goal of the game, is that there's positive progression for youth, negative regression for aging. And so it just kind of follows what you would normally think. So you can draft or create rookies. For this team, they're going to have 1 player here that's a rookie unless they went through and cut some people. So they've already done their player development and they've decided they're going to keep these guys. And so they have 1 spot here for a rookie left fielder. And then when you roll for a rookie, you can see here that you can 1 to 3 is going to be skill level 1. 4 to 5 is skill level 2, and a 6 is going to be skill level 3. So when you're creating the rookie, you create his name, and then you use your D6 and that skill level. Obviously, he's going to be age 1, and then he kind of starts over. So no rookie is going to be a star yet, but if they roll a 3, they'll be very close. And then the last part is free agency, which you can, we start with the lowest, the worst team first. And they will go through and pick up free agents. Basically, you sign free agents to fill in. If you had multiple blanks here, you would fill in your free agents. So let's say you have 3 blanks. 2 of those are going to be filled with rookies, and 1 is going to be filled with a free agent. And there's a little bit of choice there because you'll be able to decide which positions. Let's say you have 3. Let's say you have 4 blanks, which happened to somebody early after the first season. You have 4 blanks. 2 of those have to be filled with rookies. 2 have to be filled with free agents. You can see your quote unquote draft position. Rookies don't matter because they're being created out of thin air, so rookies don't matter. But there is a drafting position for free agency. And it goes from the worst team to the best team. So the worst team gets to pick the free agents first. And there may be in the future more of a bidding system, like where you're choosing a free agent and you can get outbid or something like that. But for right now, it's a drafting system for the free agents. So you're looking ahead, and let's say you need a catcher, first, second, and third baseman. You need all 4 of these infield positions. You can look on here and you can say, I think I want to try for this guy here. I want to get this guy, Connor Barnes. He's a third baseman. And I want to get Andre Simmons. These are going to be my 2 free agents. Because you're the first team and the worst team from before, you know that you get the first pick of the litter. So for you, you need to roll for a catcher and a first baseman to draft, because you're going to target second and third base in free agency. So there's a little bit of a strategy there. And let's say you're the best team from before. You also need a third baseman, but you also need a left fielder. And you can look around the league and you can say, nobody worse than me needs a left fielder. I'm not going to roll for this left fielder because I'm going to get this superstar here, Roman Maddox. At $7, he's expensive, but he's also a rookie. So he's a first-year player. He's already a 5, and he's only going to get better. That's sort of the thought. At least he'll stay the same for a while, probably. So you're getting, these are 2 superstars in the free agency pool here, Owen Johnson. And then whoever else would get cut would be added to this as well. So there's potential for more superstars being added to your free agent pool. I've kicked around if a free agent gets left from one season, that he would roll over and still be a part of the free agent pool, like these guys here. These are my year 1 free agents. So like this guy would roll over. These two guys would roll over to the next year's free agency. And if they didn't get picked up the second year, sorry about that. If they didn't get picked up the second year, then they are out of baseball, so to speak. So I haven't figured that system out quite yet, or how to really like best track free agents or free agency. I think there's a lot of moving parts here, so I want to try to make the organizational part of the game as intuitive and as easy as possible. So trying to get the basic mechanics down right now. So basically you have your free agents. You start from the worst team. You go to the best team. And you need to plan out what you need based off of, because I go through and do player development for every team. So then you can look through. So Port Morgan will be first. They're not going to have any space for free agents. They've chosen to go the developmental route and just develop their own players internally. So you can see that they're going to be pretty solid. They only have one player who's a 2, and depending on what this rookie is here, you know, they could have nobody that's a 1. So if a player goes down to a 0, you can keep him on there. He doesn't add anything to the skill, but he does cost $1. Or that could be a player that you cut and just take your chances by saying, you know, I'm just going to pick up a level 3 player, you know, for $3. So there are some choices and some decisions, quite a few of them, to be made in the roster management phase. So once you finish free agency, you fill in the rest of your spots with free agents. And then once you have that, you go through and you create your totals. So your skill, I did the average age, and then the salary. And then you add up your stars. And then you're going to go through and you play the season again. So you play out all the games in the season. It's a home and home for every... you can see it's a home and home for every team. If you have a 4-team league, that equals 2 games a week for 6 weeks. It takes me maybe, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes, I guess, to play out the whole season here with the championship. The goal of the game is that you could try to get this game in a half hour. So that's what I'm aiming for, is you could do 1 year in 30 minutes. And so between running all the games, and that would be a 4-team league. If you have more teams, obviously it's going to take longer. But if you had 8 teams, you could do 2 of these sheets with a different team for each one, because you can do 4 per, or you can do 1 sheet with another 2, however you want to do that. So, and I've just been printing these front and back, but you don't have to necessarily do that. If you wanted to cut them out, you could print them, just print. You had a 4-team league, you print 2 sheets, and then you cut them, and then you have the cards to kind of shuffle through. Might be easier if you put them on cardstock as well. So that is the game, and then you continue through each year doing all of these things. There's some notes about free agency here. If a team passes, then they're done for the phase. So sometimes a team is fully filled out. Like this team here is just going to pass on free agency because they won't have anybody. They'll have to insert rookies. So you have to insert rookies, at least 2 of them first, to fill in your spot. So if you only have 2 empty spots, you're going to wind up with 2 rookies. So that's just kind of how it is. If you want to force something else, then during the player cut phase, you could, like I could have cut Theo Sanders, and I could have cut Amir Talbot, and then that would free up 1 free agent spot. And then I would be looking at a couple of rookies who are either going to be skill level 1, 2, or 3. So you're kind of taking a gamble there. But you would be able to add but you have the potential to get a future star as well. So, right. But then you have the option to add a free agent and put in a player who's a level 5 or whatever. Because if we cut this starting pitcher, we could upgrade that 3 to a 4, and then you would have a rookie who is a level 4 starting pitcher, and that's going to be a better position to be in. You'll take not even a hit in year 1, and you have the potential for a superstar. So there's some definite things that you would need to kind of look at for each one, for each team going through, and each team has its own track and they have its own sort of thing that they're trying to do. In a previous version of this game, I've also included owners, so maybe there's a possibility to include an owner who would either kick in extra cash to get you back to 0, or kick in a set amount of cash after the end of the year. Like, if you're in a loss, I'll give you $20. And so for this team, instead of carrying over $32 in the hole, they would only be $12 in the hole. So depending on the type of owner that you have, maybe an owner is super stingy and he's like, I'm not giving any money. And, I'm setting, if you don't turn a profit, or if you don't have at least 0, then we're out of business, always. So you can never be in the black for the next year or so. But you run into some kind of issues there. But you can grow your team, from what I can tell. So this team is going to be much better going into this year, although they've taken it on the chin for a couple of years. They're going to be better. And Brookdale, who was 6-0 the first year, they only won 2 games in year number 2. And that's because they lost this Hall of Famer. Sorry, who did they lose? They lost 2 Hall of Fame players. So they lost a star here, a star there, 2 Hall of Famers, and they went from a skill level of 31 to a skill level of 28. So they did replace some of these. So you can see the right fielder, it wasn't him. So Thompson, they replaced him with a rookie level 1. So that was a big loss, going from 5 to 1. But up here they replaced their, he went down. Who did they replace? Okay, so they replaced their star catcher with another star catcher. So they got him as a free agent, and then he promptly retired after year number 2. They lost Roman Holland in center field. They replaced him with a skill level 5 free agent, Jordan Mitchell, who has since retired. So they had him for 1 year. So Brookdale is, they're looking for 4 players, and they're going to have to fill in 1 Hall of Famer and 1, an all-star type player. And then this guy, obviously, he retired, but he was a level 0. He was no help to them. And so, you just see the teams as they sort of progress from year to year. It's kind of cool to watch that and to be able to see the process, especially these future stars who become big time players, and then they kind of fall off, or they retire as Hall of Famers. There's one of these. So Legacy Monument, you gain +1 income per season if you have a Hall of Famer on your team. So I think that would be like if you've had a Hall of Famer. We might have to change what that is. Like if your team has had 3 or more Hall of Famers, then you can qualify for that Legacy Monument, that type of thing. So pretty cool stuff, because then you have like out in center field at Yankee Stadium, right, where you have the monument to the players out there. And so if your team has had the ability to have that many Hall of Fame players, which Brookdale already has. Brookdale's kind of the Yankees of this league. So they've already had 3 Hall of Famers. So they would sort of qualify for that Legacy Monument upgrade, where they would get a +1 $1. That was yeah. So plus $1 income per season for having that monument out there. So kind of cool stuff, and just let me know what you think. This is a sneak peek of a game I'm calling Diamond Dynasty, codename Diamond Dynasty. I don't know if that's too hard for people to say or not. Diamond Dugout was one, or Dugout Dynasty might be a better one. Let me know what you think, or if there's a better name that you can think of. Feel free to put it into the comment section. I think I'll do a second video and kind of walk you through what I'm doing with this, with the different teams, and just fill out the different teams and go through the process here, starting with Pine Hollow. You can see that they carried over $6 from the previous season. So I just wanted to go through the components in this game, and then in the next, or in this video, and then the next one, we'll actually walk through a little bit of how to do the progression of teams from year to year. All right. If you haven't subscribed, click on subscribe. If you like this video, just give it a thumbs up. That's a super helpful way for you to support what I'm doing here. You can also go to clarkandaddisongaming.com and pick up a game that's already in production. This one obviously is far from production, and I'm still scribbling all over it and writing by hand a lot of things. So this is just a sneak peek at what I'm working on, and I've been doing it for a few months now. I've told a couple of people about it, but pretty excited about the progress that's been made so far, and I think it runs pretty smoothly, and we'll see in the next video how smoothly it runs while we're on camera. But it's a lot less, you're not playing games or anything like that. You're just kind of rolling to build your team, and then as you build your team, that strengthens you to be able to play games. And then as you win games, you are winning money, and as you can have a run of 2 or 3 years possibly, and depending on how you manage your team, you might have a better run. Shady Springs has been pretty lucky. I think they've had some good rolls, and that plays into it as well. When you get rookies, you get 2 of them that are level 3. That's pretty lucky, because it's like a 16-17% chance that you get that. So to get 2 of those on the same team is pretty lucky. But if you do, it's kind of like drafting a couple of guys that turn into superstars in the draft, and you just happen to be lucky enough to get 2 of the 25 players that are drafted that become major league players. So it does happen in real life, and that's kind of the joy and the cool part of the game. Your rookies may never progress more than to level 3. They might start at level 1 and they end their career at level 3, and that's just kind of how it is, because also the roles, right? So I will do that, and if you haven't joined the Facebook group, you can go to Facebook groups, look up Clark and Addison Gaming Company, and answer a few questions, and also agree to the group rules. So you have to do that part. And I'll let you into the group, and that'll be usually where you can see things first. So again, I've teased this game already. I've talked about it before in the Facebook group. Just haven't done it much here on YouTube. And I also have a survey out there just for Clark and Addison gamers. So you can find the link to that on the Facebook group. You can also, I sent it out to the people who have purchased my games. I've had 80 responses so far, so super excited about that, actually. 80 people have filled out a survey, and getting a better sense of where people are, what social media things do they use, what platforms. And then I had a section on there about what would you like to see in the future from Clark and Addison. And so, really good ideas in there. I get a real sense of the eclectic nature of the gamers and what kinds of games they play, what sports do they like to play on the tabletop. And I'm getting a good sense of age and where people are from. And so those are all really cool pieces of data to be able to have for myself. And I am considering putting one together for the entire hobby. If anyone would be interested in that, just let me know. And maybe I'll put out a call to everyone to see what kinds of questions, especially creators, designers. What kinds of questions do you want to know about people who are gaming in the industry? And just would be interesting to know what is the actual breakdown of the ages of the people. We're at about almost 50-50. People who are older than 60 and people who are under 60. So it's almost 50-50. It's about 55-45 is the split so far with the people who've responded, who are just the Clark and Addison gamers, which, they're playing other games too, so it kind of crosses over a little bit that way. But there may be some who are exclusively playing my games, but probably not too many. All right. I will leave it at that. Thank you, everybody, for your support. I really appreciate it. And let me know what you think about this game. Does this game have legs? Is this something that would be interesting to you? And maybe you want to wait until the second video to see if it would be interesting, to see how difficult it is or how much of a headache it is to roll and write. And that's mostly what you're doing with this game. It's kind of a pen and paper roll and write game, which is a little bit different, a little old school. But also, I think one of the best ways to be able to do this kind of management game. It would be easier to have an Excel helper for some parts of it. Other parts of it, probably not, because it's so customized. So just let me know what you think in the comments, and we'll go from there. I think that's it from here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.